So, happy new year to everybody. Welcome to 2024. Unless you are a dinosaur and you're still back in the BCs. But we are here in the today and we are here in the now. And what is today and what is now? It is the first day of the January transfer window. Now, before I jump into things, I think I've said on think it was a match reaction show or previous shows on other channels as well that I was going to be doing something or might have done something for New Year's Eve and doing something like a countdown stream, whereas like I'll probably look back on so far what my 2023's been like or what the 2023 for the club's been like. And I felt like maybe it's more ideal if I save those kind of shows for when I've completed a full year of doing content uploads where we can look back on, the channel highs and lows. But then we can also then do a full coverage of 2024 when we come around to New Year's Eve of 2024 on the cusp of going into 2025. Plus, on top of that, I was absolutely exhausted because working in retail just does that to you. So, multiple things to say the least. But we are here, New Year's New Year's Dave. I'll tell you what, there's probably quite a few Daves out there that are feeling like this is going to be their year. Like many a club's fans think that this is going to be their year as well. Maybe Arsenal fans are in that boat. I don't know. We'll have to see. But got a few things to talk about with the January transfer window. We've got the likes of Donny van de Beek, the loan deal to Eintracht Frankfurt. That's happened. Varane extension, because most of the players at United have these little 1 year extensions buried in the contracts. And United supposedly have said, you know what? Nope. We ain't going to have any of that. We're going to let that contract run down, or you are free to leave when you like, essentially. And tying into that point, we're also going to cover the potential to the United cost-cutting exercises, such as trying to diminish the high earners, the top earners, the biggest wages, the amount of pay, the amount of employees that we've got on the books, and the pros and cons to that, if you will, and the potential to what it might entail moving forwards, and perhaps what it could signify with the new ownership structure or the new board structure that might be soon to be implemented, or very, very soon, if not currently in the process of implementing it. Martial's had offers from Saudi Arabia as well, so we'll be sort of delving into that and the little snippet of information that came with that about how how there's probably not going to be any links of any fees, any transfer fees, and how it's probably going to be something that's going to be a free transfer, which we'll we'll delve into that in a bit. And speaking of the 1 year extensions in contracts, Victor Lindelof supposedly has had his triggered. He's supposedly been told that we have activated your contract, your 1 year extension, so you'll be here with us until the summer of 2025 or June 2025, I believe it is. And that perhaps if everything goes well, according to Fabrizio, if all goes well, that Wan-Bissaka and Hannibal Mabry will also follow suit in those discussions, in those contract extensions. And then to round up the show, we'll probably talk about a bit more speculative stuff, such as some potential transfer targets. And we'll kind of anticipate it a bit more like a sandbox conversation and all of that good stuff. But let's not waste any more time, starting with Donny van de Beek, the loan deal to Eintracht Frankfurt. What do we think? What do we think? It's a short loan deal to take us to the end of the year, and to Eintracht Frankfurt as well. So not not a terrible club to go and get footballing minutes at in the Bundesliga. If I just do a quick check on whereabouts the Eintracht Frankfurt team currently is, forgotten that the Liga also returns this week. Interesting stuff, because I know there's quite a few other leagues out there that have also got um, their winter breaks, their winter player breaks. That's annoying. Can't seem to find it. Let me just do this instead. So sat in about 6th place. So Eintracht Frankfurt sat in about 6th place. So Donny's going to, we could say, an ideal club at a sort of level of quality of a player that he is. Do I think that's a good loan deal? We'll have to see, because to be quite frankly honest, there's one thing that I have picked up over recent years is that loan deals for United players is just to kill time. It doesn't actually do what we hope it does and actually improve players to the point where they are a good fit to come back into the starting lineups. It's not like Arsenal loaning Saliba out and letting him develop into that first team mold. I know he had other issues in personal life as well. But in terms of just the opportunity to actually use the loan deals to grow as a player and to actually improve, to be more fit or a better fit for your parent club. And if things work out, then fantastic. But if things don't work out, you get shipped off. But the one thing about United is that the loan deals tend to not work out to what we hope they do. But then the player doesn't actually get moved on. He sort of sits around and they continue to stagnate and continue to earn wages that they increasingly become more and more undeserved because they're regressing as players. So we don't actually manage the outfit players that much. It's only really the first team players really that are essentially getting any form of improvements, if there are any. Most specifically, or most notably, we should say, with the with I see some comments down there from Larry England. I'll get to you in a second, Larry. I'll get to you in a second. But in terms of youth players moving into first team pictures, probably the most significant improvements for players in and around the United squad setups, but everyone else I think just stagnates. So for me, in this day and age, we can hope that Donny van de Beek can actually go out there and get the minutes he needs, find his feet, get a bit of rhythm going. Hopefully he doesn't get any say cheap injuries or finds himself sidelined for any unreasonable cases, and just overall gets a bit of his swagger back, because Donny van de Beek is a player that I really associate as an Ajax player, and when he had played for Ajax, he was actually relatively decent, and I think quite a few clubs were actually relatively interested in him. I don't think signing him for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was quite what he was after. And unfortunately, his career has just not entailed a progression from where he's come from. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that it hasn't worked out the way they would have liked to under, the previous manager that put him on the pedestal in Erik ten Hag. Unfortunately, when he was starting to get more of a role in the team, he was then injured in a cup game and basically ended his entire season. And since then, it's a massive shame, because since then there hasn't been the same trust in Donny. There hasn't been the same faith that he can actually be anything special. And that is a shame. That is a big shame. Do I think that that's a good loan deal to Eintracht Frankfurt? I think it's a decent club to go to, but I don't know if Eintracht Frankfurt are going to really put him in the limelight, in the spotlight, and really sort of give him the torch. Be the flag bearer, be the torch bearer, and carry us forward in our midfield department for the rest of the season. I don't necessarily see the club doing that. I think it's just there to be another squad asset that's more likely to see game time than he ever would at Manchester United, and it might just be again another time killer because if he comes back to United, I don't see who else is going to actually decide, well, you know what, we're going to play him. We're going to suddenly play him now. To me, that doesn't really make too much sense unless he really does set the world alight at Eintracht Frankfurt and does something really good, some good stuff out there. I don't see how Ten Hag or whichever other manager that would come in if Ten Hag, in the instance that Ten Hag were to be sacked, I don't see any other manager out there that would be excited or be really anticipating to have Donny van der Beek jumping back in to the first team picture at Manchester United. I think those bridges are more or less burnt, and I think the opportunity to really make something of the Manchester United career for Donny van der Beek has long since passed us, and unfortunately, we can say the injury aspect of that has probably been the thing that has ultimately buried his career at the club. Yes, we're going to go through a couple of the comments. Tony Claude Gunner, big ups to you, man. Happy New Year's to you, brother. Hope you're good. Doing well. We're doing well. Now that 2024 is here, there's a lot of things for United fans to anticipate, whether positive or negative. There's quite a lot of things that we've got to speculate about. And the January transfer window, I think there's a lot of people in our camp that are very much sort of thinking, well, we've got Dave Brailsford. Oh, it's Ineos is coming in, Sergio Marco's coming in. Oh, let's get all the plans laid out across the table. Let's put all of our cards on the table and all of that stuff. And let's start signing players left, right, and centre, and offloading all of the crap players. Unfortunately, the same concept of business is still in place. Unfortunately, it's still there. We've still got the same people doing negotiations and doing the conversations. There's somebody that's currently there that's overseeing. So essentially, there's going to be a lot of feedback as to what does go on this January, and would be essentially the feedback to prevent further catastrophic business dealings from happening in the future transfer window, such as the summer of 2024, and then of course the winter of 2025 as well. So it's all sort of laying the foundations to sort of figuring out what to improve in terms of how the club does its business, to actually go forward in further transfer windows and do something good. So yeah, we are looking forwards, not backwards. To hell with the past and to hell with the history. We always got to keep on our toes and keep moving forwards. Big ups to Anthony Herbert. Happy New Year, Hoppers 44. Happy New Year's to you too, Anthony. Big ups to you, man. Hope everything is going well with you. Hope you've incited New Year's resolutions. Big ups to Anthony Herbert as well there from Tony Claude. Larry England. Who do we think Larry England is? Any takers in the chat? Any guesses in the chat? I'm getting two letters here. I'm guessing a P and I'm guessing a H. Any takers in chat? Who could this possibly be? Oh, don't let Lee Gunner or Jez Collins damage your mindset. I mean, they're Arsenal supporters. I'm a Manchester United supporter. I mean, we support different clubs that are sort of butting heads. We're rivals. We're rival clubs. I don't really feel like Lee or Jez could ever damage my mindset about anything, because I'll make up my own minds, I'll make my own decisions and what I want to think about my club. And as a rival fan, as a rival supporter of Arsenal, um, I will assess what I see going on at my rival clubs, and draw my conclusions to them. Trust the process and reap the rewards. You can go ahead and trust your process, mate. I'm not trusting your process. I don't need to. It's not my process. It's not my club's process. So have fun. Have fun with your Mikel Arteta Lego hair, um, 72 formations process. Probably the first transfer window. I'm more excited to see who leaves more than who joins. Big ups to Big T. Happy New Year's to you, brother. I think that, again, that's a lot of anticipation because with there being some new minds and some new set of eyes looking at this club, more or less from the outside in, but more so drawing up, I'd say, the battle plans to really identify what it is that needs to be done and who needs to be moved on. And I think there's a few early occurrences, I would say, with the discussions ongoing with players, or the decisions that the club thus far has made about players, such as Rafael Varane's, Anthony Martial's, contract extensions for Lindelof, potentially for Wan-Bissaka and Hannibal Mabry. And I think also the loan deal for Donny van de Beek, because I feel like Donny van de Beek, for me, I mean, if it was a clinical club business model, I would probably look at I'll probably look at seeing Donny van de Beek go on to be sold. So for me, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of anticipation, and rightfully so. I think there's a lot of people that are going to be thinking, "Oh, who's going to be sold?" Right? I'd like to see him go, him go, him go, him go. I'd like to see us sign him, and him coming in. All sorts of things, and completely understandable. I mean, I'm sort of half getting a little bit giddy about the future transfer business that we perhaps will do. Probably less so with January, because to be honest, the season's kind of dead for United. The league campaign, I doubt we're winning the FA Cup or anything else. So I think we can put seasonal aspirations in the bin, because we ain't doing anything. But it's interesting to see if there is a noticeable change or a gradual switch as to how each element of our club behaves moving forwards. I think that's probably the one thing that I'm most sort of eyes up with, or heads up with, I should say. I genuinely thought you supported Arsenal. I've got Old Trafford in the background, mate. How can you not know I support them? I doubt an Arsenal fan would be sat here with an Old Trafford background picture and making a transfer video about Manchester United. First time I've ever been on your channel. Seen you on Jez's channel before. I have been on Jez's channel. We're all part of the same community. We all converse about all things football. We talk about all clubs. That's just how it is. All social groups kind of do that. All people from different backgrounds, different allegiances, different levels of passion for the game as well. I mean, perceptions on the sport. There's all sorts of different minds that various aspects think alike. Other minds think uniquely different. So it's all good to have that kind of diversity in these communities. And the best part about it is we get to do it on streams as well. So we get to put it out there. and express ourselves, and that's kind of the gist of it, if you will. So, Geordie, away the lads. Happy New Year, mate. Happy New Year to you too, Geordie, man. Hope everything is good with you. I hope this year we both get better than ever through through injuries. Well, I mean, the second half of the season for Newcastle should be an interesting watch. Whether you actually go out there and recruit anybody in the January transfer window is another matter, because I know there's a lot of teams, a lot of clubs, a lot of managers usually say, we're going to be quite quiet this month. And then sometimes you'll get to January 30th and 31st, and then everybody's absolutely throwing everything everywhere. So, yeah, we'll have to see how, who it is that's going to stay resolute and actually not do any business, or if there's going to be people that actually go halfway through January and realize, actually, we're in the mud. Let's open the checkbook a little bit. But yeah, I think with Newcastle, definitely a few players that have got to come back from injury. I think Tonali's a big miss, and unfortunately, that's lost through suspension. But yeah, as for who else Newcastle could get, there's maybe an area or two that they could strengthen in and use the January transfer window, but also be efficient. And I think Newcastle having good efficiency with the business, staying within FFP regulations and all of that jazz, all of that malarkey. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch. Let's see what you'll do in Frankfurt. Absolutely. We'll have to see just how well Donny van de Beek does. We have a coach who thinks McTominay pressed better in the second half and thinks we are getting better. Unless they sack him, I don't trust this Ineos project. Well, I think that's the thing, is what do the Ineos group do? What do? They might opt to sacking him the second they walk in. They might be like, actually, no, we're definitely backing this guy. And then they start signing, players that you would say, well, Ten Hag would usually go for this kind of a player. We have to see what the devil in the detail is, and I use that term quite a lot. I do use that phrase quite a lot because that's kind of the way it is at the moment. It's not these things that you can, accurately predict at the moment. I think once you start to uncover perhaps some trends, then we can sort of see where the end point is. But we're sort of drawing up where the conclusions before we've really even seen where the starting point is for this group. But big ups to you, Pulse Playing. Happy New Year's to you, man. And Happy New Year's to Anfield Uncle Rods. How am I doing, bro? I'm doing good. How is you? How is you, Uncle Rods? Hope everything's well with you. Hope 2024 is started off with a banging 1st of January, mate. Hope everything is really looking promising, as we hope is the case for everybody in the chat as well. Big T says, Donny is a system player. We don't have a system. If he does well and plays regularly, he could play for us after the loan if we have a new manager who can implement the system, perhaps. Well, the thing is, it's quite funny because he was a system player at Ajax, and it was a Ten Hag system that he was actually, growing well in. So, unless Ten Hag seriously just decides to implement just his system, it's just like, well, screw it then. I'll just play my way. If we get smashed, we get smashed. But I'm playing the system that I played at Ajax, and see how the bricks sort of gel together, stick together, like chucking loads of say tennis balls at a Velcro wall and seeing which ones stick and which ones don't. But I don't think Ten Hag is going to be doing that. So I suppose that's the thing. Is, in terms of recruitments, what kind of a player do we sign if not a system player? What kind of an option do we look at? Is as per speculation, we'll cover that towards the end of the show. Your thoughts on the Martial to Saudi club rumours? We've got that coming up very, very soon. I've actually got that just after I cover the Varane stories, because rumour has it, or word has it, or I say rumour, I mean word somewhat confirms now, specifically from Fabrizio Romano, that the year extension clause in Varane's current contract, or a renewal, is off the cards unless, I suppose it is, unless Varane is happy to accept a pay cut, so slashing the wages. What do we think on that? Do we think that is Ineos business model, or do we think, and I've got my feeling about this, that the concept of needing to desperately cut wages is perhaps part of the cost-cutting exercise that we're probably pending to see. And the people currently working at Manchester United are opting to enact these policies with chopping down the wage structure, and trying to sort of reform everything. The problem is that Varane is probably one of our better centre back options. Of course, the age profile is a bit of a question mark, but also, injury, or the fitness level, because Varane is a little bit injury prone. That can also raise a question mark over Varane's place in the near future. But in terms of where the quality sits at the moment, Varane is a very high quality centre back, and we would like to have somebody like Alessandro Martinez come back and partner him in centre back. But for me, there's a somewhat of a trend going on here. We see Victor Lindelof, and we'll talk about this again a little bit later on with the 1-year extensions, because there's a lot of players that currently hold contracts that have these 1-year extensions. And with some of the names that have been mentioned with those extensions, for me, might be playing a chess piece to plotting players that they want to sell on for as high a value as they can, with then players that that on the higher wages that they deem surplus, or they'd be happy to keep these players, but they'd want them to lower your wages. If not, then we're going to have to get rid of you. Cost-cutting exercises. I mean, this is something that Ineos has supposedly already said is going to be a plan of action when they do come in, or once they have arrived in full force. There's going to be a lot of wages supposedly being cut down. A lot of numbers of employees facing being let go, redundancies being made at plenty of levels at the club. Just a slimming project. And I know there's a lot of usually a lot of businesses tend to do things like that. In modern corporate worlds. For me, Ineos, Sir Dave Brailsford, likes to slim things down. I think in terms of projects, as to being efficient, paying what everything's worth, I think it's quite a big core foundation to how Ineos goes about doing business. And this might be just a sort of a big sort of like a purge. We might as well call it a purge of big wages, or a purge of overinflation on how much how big the expenses of the club actually are. It's it comes with both positives and negatives with this, because the positive being that this club does overpay for a lot of things. As we've seen with the financial quarters, we've seen it that even despite making record revenues, we sat in net losses because of how much we're paying out, how big wages are for players, perhaps to how many staff members are actually employed by Manchester United, that perhaps we are sort of over egging the pudding a little bit. And if Manchester United keep themselves out of anything to do with money troubles, then I can't complain. I can't complain as a fan because it means that my club becomes a bit more sustainable, longevity wise, from a financial front. So I'm somewhat. That's the positives for me. The negatives are per se the near future as what it might entail for the squad. It probably means players like a Scott McTominay will be the last to leave, right? And I do not, I do not like the idea of Scott McTominay staying at Manchester United for many years longer. And it means that players like Varane's, Casemiro's, the top earners being moved on, like some more of the instrumental or key figures or the better quality players in this team being moved on. Now, perhaps it is an overdue somewhat action. Perhaps it is overdue, and if we are overdue, then I think there is got to be a lot of big changes that perhaps cause a lot of short-term pain, but ultimately come out the other side of this thorn bush, if you will. You get a much clearer path. So there's pros and cons to this cost-cutting exercise, perhaps being planned. And let me know what you guys think about the whole Varane, the Varane extension thing not being opted in for by the club, and trying to convince him to take pay cuts. But overall, what Ineos are planning to do with their sort of price slashing, with how much outgoings there are. BT, not many managers like joining a new club halfway through a season when things are bad. And that's another point there as well. Ten Hag not being sacked now does not mean it's not planned. And that's the thing, Big T. He might get sacked at the end of the season. So they're starting to put things into place now. And ultimately, they'll probably tell Ten Hag halfway through the second half of the season, say, just to let you know, we are letting you go at the end of the season. Because I'm pretty sure I think the club did this with Louis van Gaal. Where he was set to be departing the club at the end of the season. And he went out on a high. He won the FA Cup. He won the FA Cup as he walked out the door. So there might be that still yet to come, Big T. So it is quite possible that it's just a controlled change as opposed to making flash changes and throwing things up in the air and seeing where it all lands. So there's probably a bit more of a try and keep the waters as steady as you possibly can. There might be a bit of that thinking about. Thank you, bro. No worries, man. But thank yous to you for tuning in, for being around in the chat and in the show and being involved. Do always appreciate people who do stop by and join in the fun. Big game today, absolutely. Ooh. Newcastle or Liverpool versus Newcastle. 8 o'clock tonight under the Anfield lights. New Year's Day. Oh, who gets the first points of 2024 in the Premier League? Who does? Who does it? Onika Rowlang. Big ups to you, man. Happy New Year's to you. Start Bendia or Onana? To me, we've got Wigan coming up and then Tottenham Hotspur. Onana's going off to AFCON. For me, Bayindir. Bayindir's got to start against Wigan. He has to. He has to. He's got to start against Wigan. If he doesn't, then Bayindir's in for a rude awakening. Come up against Spurs at Old Trafford. It's going to be. It'll be making things a lot more difficult than they need to be. 100%. One can only, I suppose. Do you team meet Mount? Do you think Mason Mount will be good? For me, I don't believe so. I don't believe he will. To me, I was not a fan of the signing to begin with. The deal made absolutely no sense to me. not a player in a position that was, that we desperately needed. And the way in which he was dressed up, this guy, he is the star. He is the star signing of the summer. Who on earth thought that was a good idea? God only knows. There's your marquee signing. He's still yet to actually arrive at the club. Like, when he's played, he's not been sensational by any stretch of the imagination. And also, he wears the number 7, kind of disgracing the shirt a little bit, to be honest. So for me, Mason Mount, Mason Mount, if it was up to me, if I was in charge of the club, I'm looking at the prospect of letting him go and just saying, look, Mason Mount, if you're going to be number 7, you've got to come in and hit the ground running. And that's one thing you haven't done. And with the wages you're on, I don't support the fact that you will actually grow into being that number 7 player. You haven't improved significantly enough in your recent years as a professional footballer at the highest level. I think that you are not worth, putting up the levels there. So for me, there's plenty of other options that we can go for that would play in a position that we need, that would be more beneficial to Manchester United long term, but also short term as well. So for me, he would be on my to sell list, to be honest. But he says, if Varane agrees to a pay cut and shows he wants to be at the club, I'll make him captain. Oh, fair enough. He's our best centre back and has less days injured than Martinez. I mean, Varane gets injured more often than Martinez, but they're like, you could probably say they're maybe age-induced injuries. Because sometimes you get those, like, the muscle seizes up a bit more easily than, say, an injury like a younger player like a Martinez gets. Definitely Martinez has spent more days injured at Manchester United than Raphael Varane, but for me, Varane, you almost have to manage his minutes just get it in the sweet spot. So he's not playing too many games, but he's playing enough to actually be a figurehead for Manchester United's first team. It's a complicated feat, especially for any manager who has to sort of manage a player like Varane in that type of way. We need a statement selling to show who they want to show they want change. We need Rashford, Bruno, or ideally both moving on. And you know what? I kind of agree with that. In terms of Rashford and potentially even Bruno, moving one of those 2 players on and say, look, we are absolutely... Now, there's going to be plenty of people that will say, what the hell are you doing? What are you talking about? Why would you sell Rashford? He's star boy, he's facing Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes, he's the captain of Manchester United. Look at all the stats. Look at GAs and it's like, GAs, cool, understandable, really understandable. But this is about fixing a culture and really giving Manchester United a completely new face that builds the promise that we will be an elite level club, that we will be or aim to be the best of the best. And you're doing big statement sales or a big statement change like that might set an example of what, the foundations to what you're laying out. But for me, what I hope would happen is if you do make a big sale like that you get all of the other Deadwood players out at the same time, rather than sell all the top players, leaving the Deadwood players. Because if we leave the Deadwood, my days is going to be a long, long time. Long time and a hella stressful time as well. McTominay works his socks off for 80k a week. That's why he survives manager after manager. And to me, it's a financial situation. It's a financial situation. And to me, the finances have got to go up to a very specific point before you have to put merit. Put merit before finance. And, players who deserve finance should get the finance. But if you're not delivering at the level that puts you on that level, then you don't see a big wage. And Scott McTominay, if he's on 80k a week, for me, he's just not a good enough level. So if I put merit first, he's not, as far as quality is concerned, he's not good enough at a level for Manchester United. There's alternatives you can go for to sign that would actually come in and do a better job. I was watching bits of the Sunderland Preston North End game today in the Championship, and I think about the midfielders playing for both respective teams there, and I think, well, Scott McTominay, as far as quality goes for a midfielder, would look like he fits in at this level. Because, and that's what's crazy, is whenever I watch Scott McTominay, I don't see top elite level play styles or techniques or anything like that. Running around and putting lots of energy into a game can mean so much for a team like a Sunderland, but Manchester United, those are all prerequisites, but you've got to show the level and the quality as well. You've got to have an element that complements your desire to work for the shirt, and that's where we've got to head towards. Find a balance, find a squad with players that have that balance and have that balance, nailed down to a T. I think we can do it. We can absolutely do it. So we'll move on to the Martial offers from Saudi. Big ups to Early Doors Football TV, man. Happy New Year's to you. Hope everything is well with you. You wake up in the morning under your sign, Che Adams. How are you reacting? First and foremost, I'm thinking, what the bloody hell? I'm thinking, what the bloody hell? I wouldn't go for someone like a Che Adams. Me personally, I wouldn't go for someone like a Che Adams. But Big T, you've written that comment, and I'm absolutely dreading to open Twitter or somewhere, refresh my feed, and actually see that's a legitimate story. You've instilled fear. You've instilled fear into me, Big T, with that comment. I don't want to open my timeline and see that's a legitimate thing. Evening and Happy New Year to those in the chat. Absolutely. Happy New Year's to everybody. And a toast to a fantastic 2024. And another year of the good stuff for the Hot Fuzz. But big ups to you, Early Doors, man. I'll be giving some big thank yous as well at the end of the stream, because something that I didn't do last night to basically sort of as a send off of 2023. I will most certainly be dedicating a segment of this show at the end to a lot of the people, the community that we've got here on this channel. But Martial offers from Saudi Arabia, and the word has it that there's potentially no transfer fee involved, and that is said to be a free transfer. What do we think of that? Saudi Arabia, a country where clubs like to pay. They like to pay players, pay clubs for players, and pay them relatively handsomely. And here, Manchester United could potentially sell a player to Saudi Arabia and get absolutely nothing out of it. I mean, only Manchester United, I'd say. Only Manchester United for me. Martial, I think there is definitely fees we can get, and the stance on selling players, especially players like Martial, for me, hasn't changed since the summer. It hasn't changed since the summer. There's a lot of players here that we will have to accept cut price transfer fees because of the bad negotiations previously. That's put players on astronomical wages, so it it drains interest from other clubs when a player might fit the bill for what you're looking for, but the wages are too big and non-deserving. But it also, for a lot of clubs that would sign that player, they don't have the payment structure to fit that player or to accommodate that player. So that's the reality of the situation, is that we are potentially potentially be harboring players that are actually at the level of these smaller clubs, as their sort of at their level, their first team level, as like say squad players, but they won't sign them because the wages are just too big, because we overpay. We're essentially overpaying, or we're paying for players that sit at a level of quality that you'd find at a team in an average like Bournemouth or a Brentford or something like that. Just mid card type player from those clubs, but paying them as though they are the first team star quality players from a Manchester City. Like, the balance is not there. So perhaps this in terms of cost cutting exercise might be the first point of contact with tackling that issue. Um, I hope it's not going to be something that takes a lot out of us, or guts us completely to an unrecoverable place. I hope that there is not any essence, um, not any essence of us having to go down even further, like down the tables, and be a proper mid-table club, potentially threatened by relegation. I'm hoping we never have to sink to that level, but we never truly know, because with so much change and such significant change is going to be, that there are things can go wrong. We could things can turn south. But for me, Martial, does he need to be sold? Absolutely. He could not be sold quick enough, but at least command a fee. Anything for a fee, because we spent a lot of money to bring him in. I understand if we have to sell him for less, but surely not. I mean, most cases of letting a player go for free, we're talking about the case scenario that we let the contract run down. But for me, try and get a fee, just something. I know that even if they come out saying, yeah, we're going to sell Martial for like 10 million or 15 million or something like that, there's a lot of people that will be mad at that. And I think it should make you angry, because it highlights where the negotiations for putting him there in the first place, and just how bad of a job we did back then. Now you realize just how detrimental it is, and how much of an impact it has on today and the club today. So it's going to be a lot of exposing to a lot of the crap negotiating that we have done across the past decade for players that are absolutely not worth it. But also, you're seeing just how badly players have stagnated with the loss of transfer value. I think wages are its own situation, its own scenario, and we'll have to see what happens. What happens with that? Hopefully, we do get a much more respectable wage structure. Hope for some future collab work coming up between us. 100%, 100% early doors. Look forward to doing all sorts with everybody from the community. Are you going on Arsenal: The History and More later? I'm not planning to. I've not been invited. Not to my knowledge. I mean, maybe I've been invited, but I haven't seen any invitation. But I haven't made any plans for it. But we'll have to see what happens. The focus is clearly to reduce our wage bill, it would seem, with all these stories we're hearing, and I think it is probably to do with that. Evening, Larry England. I'll be on there tonight. Be sure to watch. I'll be keeping tabs on this Liverpool Newcastle game. Shall be an intriguing watch. Big T and Hot Fuzz. Any idea what your wage bill is? Let me think. Right, so the 2023-24 wage payroll. My bloody God. Brace yourselves. Allegedly, annual salaries accumulate to £203.931 million per year. basically £204 million. That is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Let me go through the weekly salaries for these players as well. So, let's go with the players around first team, their weekly salaries from the bottom upwards, right? So, Shoratire's on 5k, Mabry's on 5k, Mainu's on 10k, Pilistri's on 20, Amad Diallo on about 30, Bayendir's on 35, Don Heaton's on 45, Garnacho's on 50, Reguilon's as a loan deal. We're covering, I think, about 53k worth of wages. Scott McTominay's supposedly on 60k. Johnny Evans on 60k. Sofiane Amrabat, I think we're covering 65k in the wages. Tyrell Malacia on 75. Rasmus Højlund on 85. Dalot on 85. Wan-Bissaka on 90. Donny van der Beek on 120, Anana on 120, Martinez on 120, Lindelof on 120, Luke Shaw on 150, Christian Eriksen on 150, Harry Maguire's on about 190, Anthony's on 200, bloody hell. Bruno Fernandes on 240,000. Jadon Sancho on 250,000, Mason Mount on 250,000, Martial on 250,000, Anthony Martial 250,000, Marcus Rashford 300,000, Rafael Varane 340,000, and then Casemiro highest earner at 350,000. My bloody God! No wonder trying to cut wage bills when you read that out. I think any club on the planet, even Manchester City, would be hitting alarm bells if that was their wage structure. My God. That is madness. Absolute madness. Have you compiled a list of United legends you're getting involved with the channel this year, Fuzz? I have not attained any names thus far. There's still plenty of time, as we are literally 1st of January, so there's still plenty of times, but I do aim to get much more United presence on this channel. Maybe if you start a channel, Big T, can also be one of the United faithful getting on screen. Big T, I wouldn't like to guess. I think it would be too scary. That is ridiculous. It is. It's absolutely madness. Absolute madness. Stephanie Griffith, Happy New Year's to you. This is your better 2024 for all of our teams, especially United. Could not agree more. But hope New Year's Day has been going well for you so far. It's 9 likes. Lovely stuff. We can hit if we can hit 10 likes as a stream target, that would be fantastic. Up to 144 subscribers. So thank you very much to everybody that likes the streams and subscribes as well. and all that lovely stuff. These top earners don't deserve to be on their salary a year rather than a week. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Christ, it makes you think, doesn't it? Like 350,000 per week. People are really well off, really, really well off when they earn 350k a year. But these people are earning that a week. A week. 52, they get paid 300, about 300k, 52 times per year. 52 times per year. And the thing about the payment structure, right? They get paid weekly, I believe. I don't think they get paid monthly installments. I think it is weekly installments for them. And that's just from club wages. Think about all of the other wages that they get in terms of sponsorship revenue and stuff. Oh, how is Tom Heaton on more than our number two that wears the number one? I couldn't tell you. Again, nonsensical negotiations, BT. Nonsensical negotiations. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. But to be fair, it's probably not too hard to, not too hard to give a player quite a low wage when they're coming from a league like the Turkish league. Whereas Tom Heaton's already been in and around the Premier League football setup. So he was probably already earning quite substantial wages, whereas Buendia hasn't really ever asked for big wages or demanded or even warranted big wages. And coming from a league that doesn't really pay huge astronomical wages like the Premier League does, probably it's just a crossing of trends. But I'll tell you what, it's crazy to think about. Really, really crazy to think about. So news on Victor Lindelof. We'll tie both Wan-Bissaka and Hannibal Mejbri into this as well. That they are having their 1 year contract extensions activated. Supposedly, Lindelof has been sent a letter about the decision from the club. What do you guys think about that with the contract extensions? Activating a plus 1 year for all three of those players, Wan-Bissaka's, Mejbri's, and Lindelof's. For me, there must be something to do with trying to protect the value of a player. Like, I mean, it's very specific and very instant, very, very instant. They're like, yeah, we're activating the 1 year there, and I think with that kind of a decision being made, I think there's definitely somebody that's been in the ear of somebody like a John Murtough saying, well, we want to sell him first and foremost with a club that needs to generate some kind of money. If we can activate the year, then it protects the value to sell Lindelof in the summer, and that might be what is on the cards. Hannibal Mejbri, I mean, maybe there's an aim or a goal here. Perhaps Wan-Bissaka might end up, departing the club. It's possible. It might leave in the summer as part of a gutting project. Maybe Mejbri's also planning to be sold. I mean, let me know what you guys think about what that might be in relation to whether you guys think it is just simply trying to cheaply keep a player on the books so that you are essentially covered, or whether you think there is genuinely a vision to sell these players, that they do the 1 year activations in the summer, and that they are going to push and really, really push hard to selling players in the summer. Whereas I think with January, as much as we want to see players be sold, leave the club, get out the club, bring somebody else in that's that is worth their weight in gold, then I don't think that's going to be essentially priority number one right now. I think there's going to be thoughts about trying to sell somebody if you can in the January transfer window. But I think a lot of what happens this window, we're just going to see actions actions by the board to try and set up for a summer, it does essentially throw another January transfer window in the bin. And that is a problem in relation to the season, because we do need some reinforcement in some positions. We do need better quality to start improving, to give any semblance of a lifeline. Because I mean, the only competition we can win right now would be the FA Cup, and God forbid that we lose to Wigan, which is the next game we have. Wigan away. God forbid we lose in that game, because if we lose in that game, then we're not set to win any competitions and might finish outside of European placements as well. So it might be proper dire straits for Manchester United. But I think what we need, and we'll quickly wrap up the final conversation. I'll read a couple of comments here. With that, Musa Basse, just says 10. But big ups to Musa, and Happy New Year's to you as well. There's got to be a Saudi player that then could come out outweigh in exchange for Martial. Well, depends on who there is, to be honest. I mean, some people might jump in front of you and say, Ronaldo, Sue, might start dropping some Sues in front of you. So it's like, let's get him back. I'll tell you what, that's never going to happen. Never, ever going to happen. But I think, I don't know if there's anybody realistically that we can sort of swap with. Or I think Saudi clubs, even they know that they will have done their homework on Matty Martial. They would have seen that he's available and think, for a player on that much money, I don't see any practicality with signing him. And look how injury prone he is. No, thank you. Even though he's not technically injured at the moment, he is just ill. I'm ill. We quote, give that quotation marks there. Are they thinking keeping them all for another year is cheaper than finding 3 new squad players short term? They want to pump money into infrastructure immediately, hopefully. And I think that's what they should do, Big T. I think they should look to, with the players that they can sell, to pump money into the infrastructure, or pump money back into the club, sign some replacement players, because even when you do that, even if you let go of a slightly better quality player, if say the levels of each player, like the player you let go is slightly better than the player you bring in to replace, what the better player is used to, the other player is not. So if you got, say, a comfortable culture where players get to do whatever the hell they want, whilst then you've got some new takeover thing coming in, some new board structure, those players know they're going to be tested, their ambitions are going to be challenged. You're either staying here and you are fighting every single day for your place in this team. You are literally fighting. Or you're out the door, and the players that come in, they only know to fight for their places. They only know that. So there might be absolutely worth and value in doing that, because at least we get more faith and a better trust in the players that we play, that every game is going to be, a good competition. It's going to be well competed. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be thrilling. We can back these players. We can support these players and say, yeah, these guys, I back you to do well. Go out there and, show us what you can do. Go out there, express yourselves, and bring home some dubs, bring home some wins, bring home 3 points, be 3 point collectors, and maybe we go about doing our work quietly. Maybe it's a passive thing, and you know what? Sometimes those things can happen. I know we're all sort of pinning it on being big explosive statements, and sell 10, sign 10. There might be a more gradual process to this, where the work and the transition actually goes quietly, and that we suddenly prop up at more closer to this point B, and everyone suddenly notices, well, how have we not noticed United go from a mean team to actually being a genuine, relevant title contending team every single season here? And we've not really noticed or, bigged up their processes or what it is they're doing. Being at Manchester United is kind of hard to do because we get all sorts of hype people on social medias micro analyzing everything that goes on at the club, and keeping tabs on things like plane finder apps, just watching players and agents flying around the world, and it's like, oh my god, the players, he's taken off from the Philippines and he's flying in this direction. Oh my god, he's coming to United. Like, those accounts, those people are always going to exist. We'll call them mutants. We'll call them mutants for now. But Geordie, big ups. Newcastle United versus Liverpool lineups. Ooh, Dubravka, Livramento, Shaw, Botman, Byrne, Bruno Guimaraes, Longstaff, Miley Gordon, Joel Linton, Isaac. Ooh, Joe Linton on the right. Interesting. Either that or it's a different type of formation. But that's an interesting one. Joel Linton on the right with Gordon on the left. I'm thinking that's the way around it is, and then Isak up top. It's going to be an interesting one, I might as well, whilst I'm at it, do the cover some of the lineups for the Liverpool team as well. Liverpool going with Alisson in goal, Gomez left back, Van Dijk, Canate centre backs, Alexander-Arnold right back, Curtis Jones, Endo, and Szoboszlai in midfield. Luis Diaz, Mohamed Salah, and Darwin Núñez making up the front three. So on a preview, the formation previews, it does show that Joel Linton's supposedly starting on the right, but it's going to be an entertaining watch. I don't back Newcastle to get something at Anfield because it's Anfield, it's Liverpool. But I have faith that it'll be an entertaining game. But so yeah, we'll quickly wrap up with potential targets. Now, judging by potential targets, I think very clear and obvious target being Jean-Clair Todibo. There are a lot of clubs that have started to open conversations with Todibo or start to assess what is going on with the player. And to be honest, I think would it be the end of the world if we don't get Todibo? No, but I would like to see us, actually put ourselves in the window for this deal, because it's a relatively good quality player that you bring in, and the qualities he has. You start him alongside someone like a Rafael Varane in a defence. Sure as hell is better than a Lindelof. It's probably sure as hell better than a Maguire, and is probably better than a Johnny Evans. So I think it's a deal worth doing. I think it just depends on what kind of negotiations would we get if we were to open that sort of those talks. And I do not trust the board at the moment, so I can't sit here and say, yeah, we can get him on the cheap, about 30 mil, happy days, wrap it all up and shove him in that team there. We'll go out and we'll sign another 2-3 players for other keyhole surgeries here just to get us to the summer, and then cue open heart surgery. I'd love to say that, but I don't trust this board unless I see all the names of these top people coming in and literally occupying these positions. I'll say, okay, I don't trust you yet, but let's see what you're made of. And that's where I think I think between January and the summer, for me, is where I think the perception. I'm hoping that United change the forecast for Manchester United Football Club. I hope that what happens with change between now and the summer is significant enough to get people believing in a better future. I'm hoping that that's where we can pin our hopes on. Of course, 1% chance and 99% hope. I think that's kind of the thing with most teams that go to Anfield, unfortunately. But I'll tell you what, at Liverpool midfield, I'm not singing and dancing or writing anything home with that one. If I look and see who they've got on the bench, they probably have McAllister. I think they'll have McAllister on the bench. I think they do. If it would actually load for me, there we go. So yeah, they've got both. You've got both Ryan. That's actually quite a strong bench. Can't lie. So you've got McAllister on the bench. You've got Gravenberch on the bench. You've got Gakpo, Harvey Elliott, Diogo Jota, as well. Nothing really in the way of defensive substitutions, barring your Quansah. I think Quansah is your only real sort of defensive substitution. Got McConnell on there and Bradley, and then Kelleher. But yeah, Newcastle, a few notable players on there. Almiron, got Lewis Hall, Lascelles, Murphy, and Ritchie. That's kind of it. That's about it, really. So yeah, there's perhaps some hopes, but I'll tell you what, they bring on all the big guns. It's going to be siege settings. Jim wants Premier League approval. I don't think he would risk looking dodgy by selling us Todibo. I think it's one of those things, though. If it looks like a legitimate transfer, and it solely sticks between transfer, the intermediaries are not specifically Sir Jim's people, then maybe it does go off without a hitch. Because to be honest, I haven't seen anybody so far talk anything about Todibo being a risky signing because of these the legalities, if you will, regarding the transfer politics for this kind of a deal from one club owned by one person to another club owned by the same person. You could say that it's would you say a similar story about if, say, what club is it? It's not Athens. I think it's Olympia. I think it's Olympiacos and Nottingham Forest, because I know the Nottingham Forest owner. He actually has essentially. I think he owns both of those clubs. I need to have a look. Let me do a bit of a little bit of digging here. Go back to West Ham, because I think it was West Ham that actually went and beat both of those teams, and did it within the same week or something. It's quite funny, to be honest. Imagine that if you're an owner of two football clubs, the owner of two football clubs, and literally both of your clubs lose to one team in the same week. Yes, Olympiacos. So yeah, West Ham beat Olympiacos in Europa League on the 9th, and then West Ham then beat their owner's other team on the 12th, 3-2. But yeah, Todibo is one of many names. In terms of other names that have been linked to United, I don't really think I've actually seen anything else that has had any legs to it. So seeing United Stern talking about Sir Dave Brailsford of marginal gains. If you're a winner, have a strong mentality and improve everything by 1%, you'll see major gains. But I don't want things to improve by 1%. I want things to improve by 100%. I'm currently trying to operate on an empty tank. I'm trying to operate on 0% right now. But anyways, I think that pretty much wraps up the New Year's Day show. First of the transfer updates, and I think dependent on the kind of news we have and the stream of news, we'll probably get those more flash transfer updates with the small uploads, couple minute uploads, mornings, afternoons, evenings, covering those stories whilst having the match previews and match reaction stuff going on as well with the games, as well as any other the Chill Fuzzy chat streams. We can also cover a lot of the transfer topics on those shows. It's going to be an interesting month in content creation, interesting month as a football supporter, as a football fan, as along with many other things as well. So big ups to Fuzz, big ups to you. I believe it's JPT or Keeping It Real Chelsea. I believe it is JPT. But happy New Year's to you, buddy. I hope your New Year's Day has been a splendid one thus far, and first of many splendid days in 2024. Lots of surprises this month with transfers. I'm anticipating that there will be a few surprises, so I'm looking forward to it 100%. It is JPT. Thank you, my friend, and yours too. Thank you very much, and big ups to everybody that has been tuning in as well. But first and foremost, before I go, any chance we bring De Gea back on a free? If Ten Hag's probably currently sat in his office or sat at home trying to work up the courage to go into the office of John Mertens, like, can we bring back De Gea? Do it when Anana's on AFCON duty, so people don't start like throwing fists. Yeah, just slightly slip him in the back door. Tune to go, Hot Fuzz. Great stream. See you soon. No worries, buddy. I'm about to wrap the show up myself. So but yeah, big ups to you, man. Thank you very much for tuning in. But yeah, more likely for Eric Ten Hag using shampoo than getting the hang back. It's more likely Eric Ten Hag owns a hair comb, an afro comb, than there is chance of Eric Ten Hag bringing De Gea back. But yeah, man, yeah, some desperate settings. Any plans for a channel Discord, Fuzz? I'll tell you what, I have got my own Discord channel, but it is kind of just sat idly at the moment. Like it's just literally nothing happening to it right at the moment. I might abandon that one and start something fresh that is predominantly for this channel, and that I'll invite everybody into, and we sort of build a hub community for a lot of other people to be able to interact in various other means. It might be better as well, as opposed to, say, having just content creators just sat on group chats all the time. I think group chats are a bit more sort of privatized conversation, but it can open the doors for opportunities to sort of communicating between the content creators, but also, channel regulars or, viewers of the channels, to be able to have dialogue with people. I think it might be worth, doing something along those lines. I don't know how many people would actually have a Discord channel though, based off of the people that I do interact with on YouTube. So I do keep an open mind to a lot of things like this, and I think that should be in the pipe works. As for when it happens though, we'll have to we'll have to see. But it's definitely something I've 100% thought about numerous times beforehand as well. But anyways, before I wrap things up, first and foremost, I do want to say a very, very, very big thank you to everybody for for supporting United. Not been a tremendous year. It hasn't been a tremendous year by any stretch of the imagination. Of course, we had a trophy celebration with the Carabao Cup. That was right at the start of the year. It's always nice to win trophies, but there's a lot that's happened since then. So being a United supporter, yeah, it's had its good bits, but it's had some pretty damning lows as well. But one thing that absolutely has not been a low by any extent of the imagination is this YouTube channel. And starting from literally doing a stream where I do things like this transfer show and just go on for an hour speaking to literally nobody in the chat. So I'd literally get maybe one concurrent viewer and then end up with a total of about 3 views after the stream. Literally just nobody in the chats whatsoever. And I think people that I'd spoken to, the other shows that I've been on, seeing that viewers from other channels were just like, oh, you're starting up your own channel as well? Cool, I'll come check it out. And one thing led to another, and it's come to this point right now. And honestly, it's sat at 145. Thank you very much to the second subscriber that we've had for today's stream. So big ups to you. Thank you very, very much. That coming down to 145 subscribers, to somebody who's got thousands, it's no real big deal. But for somebody that has never been never been to this level before, I know there's so much further that I can go, that I'm sure I will go. But where it's come thus far, I never really think about, oh yeah, that's definitely going to be like this. I never really know just how well I would do for a YouTube channel. I never knew if I was more cut out for it, because sometimes people are cut out for it, some people aren't. You sort of do it and you find out, you learn as you go. And for me, it's like it's given me an opportunity to explore my character as well, to understand a bit more about myself as to how outgoing I can be and how expressive I can be, because I have a lot of personality traits about me that are quite unique, that are different. They're not your common say personality traits you see with people in terms of conversation. How I talk to people, like how I talk to somebody in real life, is different than to how I chat to people online. But I have noticed is that I'm much more fluid in conversing with people now outside of YouTube, after I've been getting into the groove of doing a good flow to my communication on here. And it's helped me. It has massively helped me. But the best part about it is that it's been made that much better by having all of the viewers and subscribers and the people coming in to grow this community, to be a part of this. And it's massively helped me. It's helped to shape me and grow my personality and my character a bit more. And honestly, it's something that I cannot thank people enough for, because for the kind of personal life that I have, some people might not hold out much hope for me. And I, not to say that the people that view me that way are just like, yeah, no, we think of you that way as like a proper like derogatory or demeaning way. We think that because we have, we believe there's going to be plenty of positives about you in your life. There's also going to be things you'll find difficult, that you'll struggle with. Because I do, right? And whether people notice or not, some people do, some people don't. I do have Asperger's syndrome. I do have autism. And a lot of people have said, I had no idea that you had that, no clue that you were at all like this. I would never have guessed. And there's a testament to that I'm able to grow my communicational skills, and having you people here as well with me, being a part of my shows, being a part in my chat, on my screen with me, on my panels, or me going on to somebody else's channel, is given me a lot of opportunities to actually get more used to talking to people, to actually be somebody more out there than perhaps anybody that knows me in real life would ever perceive that I would ever become. Because I'm quite reserved. I'm very introverted. I might cut more of an extroverted figure on the streams, but I'm in person. I'm genuinely much more introverted. So I think given the opportunity to actually push myself out there is been, yeah, you might say down the line it could be completely life changing for me. So, and to be honest, having support from you guys and from the other content creators, and there's plenty of names that I can drop here. We've got Longhaired Yeti, one of the first to get involved with me. Um, Honestly, the first people that I jumped on to do a stream with, on his channel and also on my channel as well. The first person I had. So honestly, massive, massive thank yous to Longhaired Yeti for that. Been a massive, massive help into really sort of setting myself on this journey. Um, got Wolfang Division as well, someone who does look out for me, who does keep me in his thoughts and in his considerations. Really, really thoughtful person. Means the absolute world to me to know that there are people that actively think about me, or have those considerations for me. Because it's not something that I'd ever really ask for people. Or can you do that for me? Like, if people just do it, honestly, really means the world to me. Absolutely means the world to me. Jez, Arsenal History and More, many a times, been in his show a couple times. Many instances of him shouting me out, putting me into that spotlight there and saying, go show this person some love. He deserves it. And honestly, whether I deserve it or not, I will never be the judge of that. I will never feel if I deserve something or don't deserve it. I always will leave that to the people who do watch the content. Because if people tell me whether I deserve something or not, that tells me how good of a job I'm doing. Because that's my humbling essence that I will get from my chat, from my viewership. And I think just very, very selfless, very selfless with Jez, and really do massively appreciate all the support and the backing, the backing that he has given to me and to this channel as well. So again, massive shout outs to him. Early Doors Football TV has been in the channel here as well, in the chat. Been on this show a couple of times. Also been, don't think I've been, say, on his channel yet. But seriously, very nice, very chilled, very calming presence on the shows, and some genuinely nice, genuinely likable character. Fantastic person as well. Just another name to really converse with and have a good time on these shows with. That's just with people that I've shared the screens with. I mean, JPT, still quite early days with, but so far, fantastic person to share a screen with. Fantastic person to have on the show, and to be on shows with. Uncle Rods as well. Again, only been on one show with him, but again, very genuinely likable character, fantastic person, and they're doing their hustle, they're doing their grind as well, and for everything that they big me up on, I'll give it straight back as well, honestly. And so it's selflessness, and it's generous. It is generous. Tony Claude Gunner as well, fantastic person, really fantastic person. He likes to have fun with this. He does like to have fun with it, and you can tell. You can tell he likes to have fun with it, and he's got a passion for this. He's absolutely got an undeniable passion to doing the YouTube. You can see it with his work rate. You can see it with how out there he is with trying to link up with the people, trying to get different faces onto the shows. Just how much he opens his communication with all sorts of people. And a fantastic channel as well. And big, massive big ups to Tony Claude. Anthony Herbert with his own channel. I've only really been on one show or one or two shows with him. But again, really likable character, quite banterous, very pro Arsenal. But really likable person yet again. And those are just the people that I shared the screens with. Those are just the people I shared the screens with. There's plenty of people that I haven't been on the screen with on stream. I say I was going to categorize this person with this, but that's not technically true. I have shared a screen with him. Carl Rossi, fantastic person. Honestly, seriously, I'd struggle to find the words in just the kind of supportive presence that he gives to people in the chat, right? To streamers, to people who are guests, to other chatters that are there for for a good time, that are there to make the show special, because it is a lot. I'd say like 80% of it, for shows to being special, to shows for being fantastic, are down to the chat, are down to the people who drop the comments in, who incite the conversations, who deliver the topics. But yeah, happy New Year's to you, Carl Rossi. And I'm just going through everybody that has been really significant to me for my thus far with my YouTube journey, with 2023 starting in the summer of 2023. And it's the journey that we're going on into 2024. And honestly, as far as people in the chat go, he might not be desperate to get on camera with everybody, but he's desperate to be in the chat, and desperate to be doing great things, and to show his generosity to people in chat. I mean, you're gifting memberships in all these other channels as well. A lot of love and support, and not just for content creators, but for everybody. That's too kind for us. You're absolutely gent. So truly wishing you the best of 2024. And as to you too, Carl. As to you too. All the best wishes for all the success, for good health, and good wealth, and to some extent, as a United fan as well, a little bit of success for Arsenal, just a little bit. I'll let you take, if you're in the Carabao Cup still, I'll let you take that. Or if there are other cup competitions you're still in. Actually, yeah, you are still in it. You've got Liverpool, haven't you? I think it's Liverpool that you've got in the Carabao Cup. But a little bit of success for Arsenal, because God only knows that you do desperately need it. Some of the big United channels have Discord servers. Yeah. I'm in one or two of them. I know exactly where you're coming from, Fuzz. Yeah. May the glory days come back to both of our clubs. I'm holding out hope. There's plenty of other people that honestly been fantastic. I mean, Big T, Stephanie Griffith. Hello, Big T likes to make conversation interesting. He likes to sort of be maybe devil's advocate, perhaps is a term for it, which it does sort of invoke alternative thought, which is always it's always nice to have. Different kinds of comments rather than just having only comments that only ever agree with the person streaming. Having alternative comments in there as well that sort of take things down a different road, to provoke different kind of thoughts, is definitely one that helps it helps the shows 100%, because it sparks conversation, it sparks thought process, and it keeps me on my feet into thinking. What I think about is whether it's whether I'm sort of right on things or wrong on things. Um, but it's just a genuinely nice presence to have other people in the channel. Always you're having the interaction that goes back and forth because it keeps the shows going. It keeps them entertaining. Um, I think I've gone on for a little bit too long as well, to be honest, because the Liverpool Newcastle game has kicked off. So I'll try and wrap things up as quickly as I can. But but yeah, seriously, Big T, Stephanie Griffith, Carl Rossi, all the moderators as well. Some real trustworthy people, really, really trustworthy people, and honestly, cannot ask for better people to be moderators for this channel. Could not ask for better people to put my trust and my faith in the the moderation for this channel in better hands. So honestly, fantastic. Alternative is a perfect way to describe me. It's a perfect way to describe me as well, to be fair. But thank you for being you, Big T. That's all I will say. Thank you for being you. Because if people like you or don't like you, does not matter to me. If you are who you are, and you are committed to being who you are, as long as it's not someone that's genuinely causing, like, wreaking havoc and destroying things, then that you're by way of general evil. If you're being you and the most natural version of you, then honestly, thank you very much. Seriously, especially on social medias and on the internet, because there's a lot of fake people out there on the internet. But just being you, seriously, is becoming more and more of a rare trait with people, shall we say? But plenty of other people as well that I can shout out as well. Geordie, um, uh, Larry England, Pulse Play, United from Stefan from the United Philosophy as well. Big ups to him, is one of the key factors in me sort of going full on with the channel and getting me getting me some viewership as well, because it was a bit of a struggle to actually get the channel lifted off. And I'd say the first proper lift off probably came from having um, someone like Stefan from the United Philosophy sort of start directing a few people over to my channel. So again, I do owe him a lot of credit for where the channel is right now. So a big thank you to Stefan there. Guys like Tony Ibarra, Taib, Hussein, trying to think of some other people. It's times like these where my memory is Christ awful. Don't think he's been in the chat in the chats or on the channel per se, but Kenny Ken as well. Lovely person, has shown me nothing but respect as well. The times that I've shared the screen with him, obviously, big ups to him. Fantastic person. I think Naz as well, CFC Naz, again, another fantastic person. Haven't been on shows with him a lot, but have had some good interactions with him. So again, another nice person to share the screen with. Mama Flossie, how could I forget about Mama Flossie? Mama Flossie, another one of the moderators for this channel, and really, really lovely person, really caring, really empathetic, and honestly, is a real privilege to have her in the chats. Just sort of, even though she just sometimes like picks a corner and just quietly watches, just keeps tabs on the show, on the stream, and yeah, when you see her in there, yeah, you'll know when she's in there. She'll say a quick hello, and when she's heading off, she'll let you know as well. So it's like as Twitch streamers call them, lurkers, to be fair. But yeah, even if she doesn't have a huge amount to say, just knowing that she's there and just a really like a very level-headed, calm presence in the chat, and really just a lovely person, really lovely person to speak to as well. So We can also say, like Carl Rossi, is YouTube chat royalty. Um, as for other people as well, there's plenty of other names that would come to mind. My memory is absolutely Christ awful when I do try to remember things like this. I'll probably remember all the names when I sort of finish this up. But if I do try and remember them, we will be here forever. We'll absolutely be here forever. So just overall, thank you very, very much to everybody that has watched this YouTube channel, watched the videos, streams, who have commented, liked, subscribed, shared content, and tuned into the streams. Honestly, all forms of channel interaction by you guys has been absolutely phenomenal, fantastic, and really, really just thank you to everybody. Everybody, even those that sort of stop by for a couple minutes just to see what the channel's about. I mean, it's another view. It's something else added onto the algorithm. Thank you for having a spark of interest and clicking on the video or on the thumbnail and coming to see what this channel's about. I massively appreciate any and all support that this channel gets, and I cannot thank all of you. I cannot thank all of you enough for all of that good stuff. But I'm going to wrap things up there, people. I'm going to let everybody get away, enjoy the rest of your New Year's days, whatever it is you're doing. Hopefully, today is a great day and that tomorrow gets even better. And anybody, Liverpool, Newcastle supporters, whoever you may be, enjoy the game. Absolutely enjoy the game. I'll be jumping on to watch some of that good stuff myself, enjoying the rest of my the signature chocolate milk, and I'll be enjoying the rest of my New Year's Day. Hopefully everybody else does the same. Once again, thank you very much for all the love and support you guys have shown for this channel. Really means the world to me, and hopefully onwards and upwards to even bigger and even better things. And thank you very, very much, Big T. Best one this year. It's the only one this year too, Big T. So I'm sure, hopefully that keeps changing and that it keeps being the best one this year, But yeah. But anyways, thank you very much, Big T. And thank you to everybody else that's tuned in. Take care. Goodbye. God bless to all of you for good health and great success. We'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.